everyone, and welcome to Club 3, episode 62 of Rolling in the Isles, an FM20 British Isles Journeyman series with me, the United City FM. Welcome along. So technically, it's not quite right, the title, but the reason I've kept it as that in the title sequence on the actual video is because it will fit in the playlist better, basically, when it's all said and done. But this is basically the international version of relegation, Rolling in the Isles, because we are currently Derby County manager, and we've just finished the season where we finished 4th and reached the Europa League final, but unfortunately lost it to Chelsea. And now we go into England duty, because we are also the England manager, and we are just about to start a World Cup campaign. Now, we have just played a couple of friendlies against USA and Chile. You can see we won 4-1 and 2-0, which is fantastic, moving into the competition. And we got Columbia and Costa Rica in our group stage. So those are the two games that we're going to play today and see if we can get out of this group and move into the knockout rounds. I'm aware that you probably won't know some of the players because I haven't really been following this particularly strongly during our club episodes. So I will introduce you to a few of them as we go. And today we will just go through a couple of our first team members, having looked at the tactic. And the tactic's very familiar. I am the Derby County manager, and this is the setup with two other tactics alongside them as well, that has brought me success at Derby County and actually has brought me success in my Lazio series as well, in terms of changing my fortunes there. So we're going to go with this asymmetric, and to be honest, the players fit it really well anyway. When I first saw the squad list for England, I thought the players are going to really fit this well. So it's not a major problem. We've got no injury issues leading into the tournament, which is great. This is the 23-man squad that I chose in the initial instance, and nothing has changed from that. We haven't had to take anybody out, which is fantastic. So let's just go through a couple of these players. We've got Dewhurst in goal, 29-year-old goalkeeper. In terms of, we're currently in 2030, so you can see that a lot of these players have come into the game since, as newly generated players. So this is our current goalkeeper, and he's a decent keeper from Tottenham. He plays well for them, and he's played well for me so far. You can see he's let in 26 in 29 for Tottenham this season, and he's going to be our number one goalkeeper. We've got Alexander-Arnold, Gomez. You don't need to talk about them, do you really? You know those two and what they can bring to the side. This is Greg Gray, who's the one of the central defenders that we brought into the squad. He's 24 years old, plays for Watford currently, a decent central defender. There are some gaps in this squad. It's not a world-beating 11, I wouldn't suggest necessarily. I think there's a couple of issues there, but we're going to do as well as we can in this competition, absolutely. We're going to try our very best. We've got Chilwell, and he's not going to play today, actually. It's going to be this guy, Thorpe. Thorpe is normally the guy that I choose down the left-hand side, and I really like him. 26 years old, plays for Everton. Chilwell's getting on a bit. He's like 33, but he's a very, very good player to have as a backup in this particular squad. Declan Rice you'll know about. Andre Shenton, I tried so hard to get this guy to come to my Derby County side, and it just didn't work at all. I tried and tried for a couple of seasons ago, this was, and I just couldn't get him. But in the end, he moved to Chelsea at that point, which is disappointing. But now I get to work with him for England, and he's a very good right-sided player. The reserve for him, or the rotation of his position, is the Derby County player that we've got, Elliot. He's the only one that made the squad. I could have put a few other English players in from Derby, absolutely I could. But to be honest, on paper, and then when you play some of these players, you just realise that some of them are just not as good as there are in some of the big six in the English Premier League. So I've tried to be as structured as I can, as making sure that we get the right amount of players in from the big six that are actually very, very good and are playing at the height of the top of the Premier League. So that's Shenton. Now, this guy, Pavelzinho, I don't think I've ever had to say his name before, but I've seen it many times. Obviously, he comes from an interesting family background, but he's playing for England, no problem with that. and he currently plays for Liverpool. Again, this is a guy at the age of 23. About 3 years ago, I tried to get him, and I just missed out for Liverpool. They nicked him off me, basically. And he's gone on to play really well for them and do great things for them, and hopefully will for us in the centre of midfield for our England setup. The next one is Phil Foden and Jadon Sancho. You don't need to see either of those. You know about those two. And the last one I'm going to tell you about today is Ashley Luca. And again, I identified this guy really early, like 18, 19 years old, and tried to get him when his attributes were nowhere near this good, but I could see the player was in there. And I just missed out on him. And again, he went to Liverpool. They stole a couple of players from me in a transfer window a few seasons ago. But this guy is pretty special. 34 goals in 37 games for Liverpool this season. And you can see he's got all the attributes needed to be really, really good. And he is. So this is a guy that we're pinning a lot of hopes on for this summer tournament to see if he can fire the goals enough to get England moving and into the latter part of the competition. So there's a few others in the reserves that we'll introduce you to in the next episode maybe. There's some in there that you'll recognise, the likes of Mason Greenwood and Chilwell and Elliott from our squad, of course. But there's a couple of new guys in there as well. So we'll introduce them at another point. But for the two group games that we've got, specifically for the first one, we're going full bore with our starting 11, and we'll see what where the land lies after this match in terms of trying to win it. If we do and the results go our way, maybe we will rotate a little bit in the next game against Chile. But today is Colombia, and the starting 11 will be Dewhurst in goal, with Gomez and Gray in central defence, Alexander-Arnold on the right, and Thorpe on the left of defence, with Rice, Pavazinho and Foden in central midfield, Shenton on the right, Sancho on the left, and Luca up top, and pretty much, absolutely much, everybody else on the bench. That's the way this tournament works until we get a couple of injuries maybe. Anyway, let's get into the first of the World Cup games and see what happens. So we've gone passionately to suggest let's give these fans something of a performance that they're expecting from us. And here we go. As they come out into the World Cup atmosphere to line up for the national anthems, we then huddle and boost each other up a little bit. And then we try and get off to a really positive start in a tricky group. And you can see that there's nobody in the starting 11 that we know. But there is a name that we know. Olart on the bench for Colombia, plays for our Derby County side. A good corner kick came in from that far side. We managed to pick up the loose ball, which is great as well. Sancho gets another chance to run into the box as he's gone to VAR now. I'm going to say on that one, I thought it was inside. A lot of the time they get given just on the outside. I think that looked as though it was inside the box. Let's see what the referee has to say, having had a look at the footage himself. He'll now turn around and come back out onto the pitch, and he'll give the VAR symbol. What's he going to give? And he's going to give... Ooh, we did get a penalty. That's pretty cool. It doesn't always go that way, does it? In that sort of down that side foul. But Foden steps up, giving England a chance on 15 minutes to go 1-up. Can he take it? Referee into position, blows his whistle, and he does. Left-footed into that corner of the goal, powered it in. Goalkeeper stood no chance, didn't even move, and we go 1-0 up after 15 minutes, and that is a great start for us. They've helped gift us something really on the edge of the box with that foul, and we will happily take it. I'm going to take anything I can get to get us through this competition as far as we can. It's going to take a bit of luck here and there. Some of the big boys that will come up later, if we can get through the group, of course, are going to be really tricky. I think we're sitting at about 5th in the world rankings currently, so that's something to bear in mind. But yeah, overall, this is going fairly well for a first half. 37 minutes gone. Again, we get another corner kick. And again, they gift us a bit of a goal. Defensively, they had a perfect chance to clear that ball. And the defender missed it completely. And it lands right in the path of Luca. and he makes no mistake about it whatsoever and pokes the ball home, and he gets off to a goal scoring chance. Start, should I say, which is really important for the chances of the England side moving forward. He is so vital for us. But we do have some good backup. Owusu and Greenwood are both really competent strikers, so we've got some good options there if we need to. But at half-time, we are 2-0 up, and I will happily take it. Passionately say I'm very pleased. Send them straight back out again. No need to change anything. We'll just keep moving forward at this point. We'll make some substitutions in a minute, probably to some of our key guys, just to take them out the firing line if we can. But up until that point, can we get a third and really put this match out of sight for against Columbia? And it's Alexander-Arnold down the right hand side, and that's a fantastic header by Sancho on the far post. What a brilliant cross. Alexander-Arnold is just a superb right back, isn't he? One of the real jewels in our crown. And it's Foden who has the ball on to Shenton, who then finds the run of Alexander-Arnold. Powerful cross to that far post, and Sancho raises above the defender and pokes it home with the head. And this is fantastic, and we are going to make changes now. I know it's early, I know it could come back to bite us, but we do have to protect some of these players, and it's going to be Alexander-Arnold that comes off, and Reece James is his rotating replacement there. We've got a central midfield yellow card and a bit of a low rating for Pavelzinho. So we are going to take him off, and it's Hayes that is the replacement for him. We'll introduce him at another point. But he comes into the lineup, and then I'm going to take Luca off. I'm going to have to, because I'm so desperate to try and keep him fit and healthy, and we're going to put Owusu in instead. And that's how we're going to line up for the rest of the game. I don't need to change any of the structure of the way that we play. I've just got to really protect some of that key personnel moving forward. And we've got some very good backup. As I say, I think there are one or two issues in the squad. In terms of central defence, I don't think it's as strong as it could be. But other than that, I think we're in with a decent shout of getting late on into the competition. And it's Foden and Rice playing about the ball in central midfield, out to James. Pokes it through. Was he offside? I think Shenton was possibly offside. Yes, he was. The flag goes up from the linesman. He just made a run too early and didn't get back onside in time for the through ball, which was a decent ball. But we are looking pretty good at this point. James with a throw-in, and it's going to be Rice that picks up a slight loose ball. We didn't quite make the most of the throw-in, but we managed to get a bit lucky there. And it's Hayes. Whoa, that was a decent effort from quite a length out, wasn't it? But Hayes powers at the keeper, and eventually at the second attempt he gathers the ball, and then he gives it straight to us, which is poor from him, but we again will happily take it. Hayes again on the ball, and he puts it wide out the right hand side, but we lose the ball on that occasion, trying to be a little bit too sporadic with our passing in terms of too wide, I don't know what I'm trying to say, too big a gap between some of our passing. We need to shrink that down a little bit, but eventually the Columbia attack doesn't lead to much. We could of course go defensive at this point, but I just don't feel the need to. We're 3-0 up. We can rest easy, I think, and just control the game by keeping the ball, hopefully, and frustrating the Columbia side. And again, it's a throw-in down the right-hand side from James. Eventually gets it into Rice, onto Owusu, who's come out wide to collect the ball from the throw-in. And we work it nicely at the top of the penalty box. And we go down the right-hand side again to Shenton, second time to Shenton. And he uses James further out wide. And that's a good cross-in again, isn't it? Really good fullbacks we've got. But unfortunately, that attempt with a head doesn't quite manage to challenge the goalkeeper enough. And we remain at 3-0. But there is the final whistle. And we get a really very, very good start. I will happily take it. So let's go out and we'll praise the team. Say I'm very pleased with how you've done that. That's an excellent early competition win. And we will come out of there. And then I will fast forward through the game a little bit. You can see some of the other teams playing there. Brazil with a 5-0 win against Ukraine. They're going to be difficult to beat. And there's another one of our players, Ivan, who plays for Derby County in my Derby County side. And he's going to be a first team regular next season, Joku will have to move out the way for this guy, a young guy coming through. Anyway, that's for another episode. Now we move on to the Costa Rica side and see if we can put this group to bed and really just stroll through to the first knockout phase. So join me in a second for that. So here we go for the second game in a group stage against Costa Rica. And if we go and have a look at the group stages, you can see when I find our group, there we are, Group K. We won our first game against Columbia, obviously. They've played their second game against Costa Rica, and they beat Costa Rica 1-0, whatever it was. I can't even figure it out. No, it's probably not 1-0 at all, was it? It was quite a lot. Anyway, they won. It's 3 points apiece for us and Colombia. If we get anything today, we go through. No problem. If we lose, it depends how many we lose by, but that's some shift. I would suggest we've pretty much qualified already, wouldn't you? So we're going to make a few changes to our side just because I want to keep protecting these players that are going to have to go into the competition hopefully. So we're going to take Alexander off and put Reece James in. We are going to switch out Rice, and we're going to put Rice's replacements, Shane Webb in. Let's have a look at him just to see what we're dealing with here. You can see he plays the defensive midfield role. Good passing, decent vision as well. So he's a very, very able replacement for Declan Rice in that central defensive midfield role. We're going to take Foden out. And his replacement, if I can find him, is Appiah. So we'll have a look at him. Francis Appiah plays for Arsenal. Again, some really good... He's not the best player in the world, but he's got a decent engine about him. Gets up and down the pitch. He's got a lot of flair about him. His first touch is good. And his vision is excellent. So he's worthwhile having in the squad. There were others I could have chosen. I could have chosen Mason Mount, for example. But I wanted a slightly younger guy to rotate with a slightly aging, let's be honest, Foden. So that's why he's in the squad. And then we're going to take Luca out and we're going to put Owusu in. Owusu, who plays for Arsenal also. He's a very good striking option. Good composure, good finishing. Off the ball is really good. Lacks a little bit of pace maybe, but his acceleration is top notch. So he's been sensational for us. And we're going to take the last one we're going to take out is no, not Sancho. We're going to take out Pavazinho just because of that yellow card. I don't want him to mount them up at all. So Hayes comes in and we'll have a look at him a little bit as well. Passing of 18, vision of 16, very good physicals, reasonably good mentals, long shots good, first touch is good. There's a decent player in here also playing for Arsenal. So you can see why some of these guys are in above what I've got at Derby County. The likes of Harwood Bellis and Bazunu and all those kinds of people that I've got. Matheson and Bogle play at right fullback. But these are just better players. They just are. There's no doubting it. So anyway, that's what we're going to do today. We've rearranged it slightly, given a rest to a few key players. And so let's go into this particular match with Costa Rica with the first team now of Dewhurst in goal. We've got Gomez and Gray still in central defence. James on the right, Thorpe on the left, Webb, Hayes and Appiah in central midfield with Shenton on the right, Sancho on the left and Owusu up top and everybody else on the bench. So let's get into the second game and see what happens. So we've gone with favourites for a reason. Go and show them why. They're playing a very defensive 4-5-1 formation, sort of. I mean, you know, it's quite a difficult one, a different one with lots of central midfielders rather than wide men in the midfield area. So they're going to be difficult to beat. That's a shame. What's happened to Shenton? Potential foot injury. Oh, well, let's take him out and put Elliott in down that right-hand side. Let's hope that's not too bad because that upsets the balance of our side quite a lot if Shenton goes. But it's Costa Rica with a chance on the free kick and a very good save by the goalkeeper who parries it round the post for a corner kick. And we're under a little bit of pressure having lost Shenton and also having a few attempts at our goal as well. But Dewhurst can come out that time and claim the ball nicely and maybe just calm the game down a little bit. It's another free kick. I thought it was the same one for a second, but it wasn't. It was another free kick that Dewhurst took no problems in claiming out of the air. And now we get to finally build up something ourselves. And it's Hayes onto Sancho down this left-hand side, jumps over a challenge, gets into the box, puts it slightly behind the play with James encroaching on it. And the cross comes into the far post, but they've partially cleared it to Hayes. Thorpe down the left-hand side, the fullback, gets eventually a good cross in, and it's Elliott, the substitution that had to come on down the right-hand side. A very nice left-footed volley, half volley, one or the other, I couldn't quite see. But some good build-up play down this left-hand side. Hayes onto Thorpe, who manages to get it out from under his feet, stops the ball dead, brings it back, and on the left-footed volley, catches everybody by surprise, and Elliott gets on the score sheet against Costa Rica, and we go 1-0 up. Early in the game, you can see that the statistics for the match suggested that Costa Rica had a very good start, but we're beginning to encroach on the game now. Hayes with a good chance off the corner kick, got the header, but didn't quite manage to get it on target. A little bit disappointing there. But James has a chance with a throw-in to bring us back into the game again down the right-hand side. And the space opens up and he gets a really good run on it. And Sancho fires the ball at goal and just misses by a foot or so and puts it just wide of the post. But we're beginning to dominate the game now. Step aside Costa Rica. We've had our moment of slight apprehension at the beginning of the match. A couple of new players coming into the starting lineup today. And it just took a little while to get going. But we might just go in at half-time with a lead unless something goes wrong here. It's Gomez on the ball. And we've gone out wide right again to James. Our fullbacks get involved an awful lot. And we almost had a shot on goal there, but the defender blocks it nicely. But Gray picks up the loose ball and gets it out to Thorpe down the left-hand side. Couple ahead of him, and he uses Sancho wide left again. Cuts it back to Thorpe, and it goes across the penalty area, still quite deep. And we're working our way nicely towards having a decent attempt. And there's the chance, unless there's an offside, and there isn't. The linesman runs off, and it's Owusu off the header in by Sancho. And Owusu gets his head on the ball and pokes it home. And we take a very good 2-0 lead just before half-time. And this group, which I thought was going to be a pretty good group for us to have, has pretty much turned out to be that. It's been a good couple of comfortable performances, few different players that have played, so we've not had to use all of our squad all the time. It's just about this guy now, isn't it? Andre Shenton. Please don't let it be long. If he's out for a couple of days, that's fine. If he's out for a couple of weeks, that takes him quite deep into the tournament. And that would be so disappointing because he's a really, really good option for us down that right-hand side. Passionately, though, I'm very happy with the performance. Keep it going. Go straight back out there and see what we can do as the game progresses. We'll probably take off a couple of other players, some of those that didn't get withdrawn for this particular match, the likes of Sancho, etc. Might take them off in a little while just to protect them a little bit. And again, get more players playing, getting some minutes in the World Cup finals, which is always really important for the development of the players. And again, we keep the ball very nicely and we work it nicely into the box for Sancho. Again, wide out to one of our fullbacks, Thorpe over the far side, playing the left fullback role. And it's James who picks up the loose ball. You can see we're pushing them in and camping into their half of the pitch, which is great. Thorpe again with a chance to go past the defender. They get a foot in that time, but he finds the loose ball. A little bit lucky there, just for Hayes to be in exactly the right spot. And Webb continues to move the ball around well. Elliott on the left foot, and it's Owusu with a looping header. What a lovely ball that was in from Elliott. And he just seemed to take his time and have all the time in the world to get a decent connection with it. And he puts it over the top of the goalkeeper. And that was a really, really lovely headed goal. Here's the cross in from Elliott. Everybody else thinks maybe he's going to go wide, but he didn't. And that's a fantastic header by Owusu. And this is what I'm saying. We've got good options in a lot of places in the pitch. The one area, central defence, maybe that we haven't quite been challenged on yet is the one slight weak area maybe. But other than that, I'm really happy with this squad. So let's see how we get on. We're at 57 minutes. I'm going to make a couple of substitutions now at 60 minutes just to protect a couple of these players. Thorpe important. Chilwell can come in and add a bit of experience and see out the rest of the game. We've got Elliott and Hayes looking a little bit low in conditioning, but those two have only just come in. It's Sancho I really want to get out of the side now and bring in Bukayo Saka, just because he's a good option down that left-hand side, and it will rest Sancho a little bit. And then I'm going to leave the rest, I think, just for now, for another maybe 10 minutes, and then make a final substitution, possibly for someone like Gomez at the back, just to give him a break as well. And a good chance for us again to build up the play down the right-hand side. Again, it's the fullbacks getting involved in the play an awful lot, which is fantastic to see. Hayes moves it forward onto Sacco, over the top for Sacco, brings the ball down and gets a lovely cross in for Appiah to come in and half volley the ball. Didn't quite control the shot though, did he? And here's the last substitution that we can make. And I am going to bring Gomez off. Oh no, I can't make another one. What am I talking about? I'm going completely doolally. I bet you're all screaming at the screen going, what are you doing, Kev? We had to make one in the first half, didn't we, for Shenton? So we can't do that at all. But there we go. That's okay. We'll have to get through the next 15 minutes of the game comfortably, I hope. 3-0 up. We can settle the game down, keep the ball very nicely, and just dead rubber the game, as it were, from this point, hopefully. And then it's all about checking out that injury, isn't it, to Shenton? We've got a minute and a half left. One last chance for Owusu to spread his legs a bit and get those running muscles going. And he passed it on to Sacco. Sacco into James, who doesn't take the pot shot, but puts it into Elliott. The ball keeps moving, and there's a shot from Appiah. Missed a chance earlier in the game, but another one of our young talents coming in replacement for Foden today, and looking really, really good. And this is a good squad. It's got balance in terms of experience and youth, and I'm really happy with the first couple of games. It becomes a bit of a lottery from this point onwards. 4-0 up, we're definitely going through, which is fantastic, but it becomes a bit of a lottery now about what sort of size we're going to be facing in the next round. So we'll just take that through a little bit and see what comes up in our draw for the next round. So first off, passionately say I'm very pleased with that. And then we'll come out of the match day scenario, and we'll just go and see what the draw has for us. So if you can bear with me for a second while I go and find that, we'll have a look and see what happens. So you can see that our next match has been drawn. We've got Ukraine in the next round, in the second round, should I say. So there's the full draw. I'll let you have a look at that briefly while I tell you about Shenton. And it's not fantastic news, it must be said. He got a little bit of a ligament issue with his ankle, and he is going to be out for 2 weeks. Now that might mean that he can make a reappearance later in the competition if we get right the way to the end. But just at the moment, it's not looking fantastic for him. He's going to miss a fair chunk of the next few games. And so Elliott's going to have to step up into that position. Fortunately, if really necessary, we can always put Alexander-Arnold in that spot too and use Reece James as the fullback. So there are still options, but it's just not ideal, is it really, at this point in the competition? Anyway, that's tournament football for you. We get Ukraine in the next round of the competition. So if we come back out and go to our home page, this is slightly frustrating. These I set up for the England setup. If we go to our Derby home screen, you can see these stay as they are. Seemingly, for whatever reason, whatever I put in these ones for England, keep moving about a bit. Anyway, it's just a bit random, isn't it? It comes and goes. Anyway, that will do it for today's episode. We got through the group stages. We've got Ukraine in the next round, the first of the knockouts. We'll come back in the next episode and play that game, and hopefully another one if we get through. And we'll just keep doing that 2 by 2 and seeing how far into the competition we can get. So hope you're enjoying this little break from the club version of Rolling in the Isles as we go into the International World Cup with England. I think we've got a reasonable shout, but that injury is a bit of a problem. Anyway, thanks for joining me today. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and join my United City community and keep up to date with what's going on here with England in the World Cup. Click that like button on this particular episode to help me get seen by loads of other people. Until next time though, take care of yourselves. I'll see you very soon. Bye for now.